IVM.
Did you know that you can just download Cred and let it take care of your credit card bills? You really can. It gives you reminders when you're approaching your due date, looks for hidden charges on your bill, and even gives you some kick-ass rewards and cashback. It really pays to be good. Just download Cred. Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach podcast. I am Ashton Doctor, your habit coach, and today we're going to be talking about self-care. This is such an important topic because this is a buzzword people use. People talk about, self-love, self-care, self-this, self-that. But it's very important to break it down and understand why have we stopped caring for ourselves and what can we do about caring for ourselves. And with me today, I have Jnana Sabharwal. She's been with us previously on the podcast as well. What she did was she did a fantastic workshop for my company, Ormax Consultants. And this was for the employees. And we were discussing about self-care and how everyone is feeling during this time that we are passing through. And it was so essential to see, or it was so interesting to see light bulbs going off in everyone's mind saying, I'd never thought about myself this way. And this is why I said that, Jnana, you have to come on a Habit Coach podcast and share this with us, because there were so many learnings that I took out from this, made copious notes. I said that we must have you on and have this discussion. So Jnana, welcome to the Habit Coach podcast again.
Thank you, Ashton. It's always lovely to be back.
So much energy that you bring to these podcasts. I absolutely love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashton. Happy to be here.
So Jnana, this whole concept of self-care, right? And stress, all that we're going through. Where does this start? How should we even start thinking about it?
So, Ashton, I think stress is such a overused but understood kind of a emotion. Like we use stress so loosely, but we have absolutely no idea that it is the one thing that is actually governing our lives. And it's really about survival, right? So a lot of research was done and stuff, and people asked, like, what is stress? Exactly. Yeah. And I was blown away when I actually understood that, stress was a mechanism in a nutshell. Yeah. Stress is a mechanism that was used by, earlier prehistoric days when, we had to go look for food and, there was a tiger there, and then your body went into stress saying, oh my God, tiger. And that's all we understood because we didn't have so much of a, formed brain. We only had like basic, survival sort of emotions, and stress kind of kicked in to say, run, there is a tiger. Right. And that was it. That was as built and developed we were. And of course, with time, we know the brain has grown and we've got different parts of the brain that makes us all cool, being rational and decision makers and, corporate people and all of those sorts of things, which is
the logical stuff.
The logical stuff, the rational stuff. I'm pragmatic. I'm so, I know how to control my emotions and all of those sort of things. Yeah. So those kinds of people, but we were never built that way, essentially. Mm-hmm. This stress was only for survival. So now that we don't have to look for food and stuff, research says that all of our stress is emotional. And there are only three factors that make us highly, highly stressed. And that is lack of information, uncertainty, and the loss of control.
Lack of information, uncertainty and the loss of control.
Absolutely. And given the current situation we're in, oh my God, it is flying around like, pollen in the air almost, right? Because it's spring. So here we are with all of the three things we really need to be human and rational and pragmatic and all of those sort of things totally thrown out of the window. And we're just left with a whole bunch of stress in our body, which takes us to the prehistoric brain, which is basically like, run, there is a tiger. And we are all filled with fear and anxiety. So that's what's happening to us right now, right? So it's really a function of survival in the human being's brain and body. Yeah. But we all think that stress is in the mind, but actually stress exists in your body. So if I ask you, Ashton, when you feel stress, do you really feel it in your mind or do you feel it in the body?
My stomach goes gurgur.
Absolutely. What else happens?
My palms go sweaty.
Absolutely. What else?
Right. I feel dizzy and disoriented.
Right. Probably your heart is racing like a crazy person, but all we think of is the overthinking thoughts. That's all people come back with. Correct. Nobody says, I'm feeling all of these other sort of,
the physiological
the
thing.
physiological or the biological sort of changes, and over and above that, we also feel, emotions cropping up, right? So we don't talk about all of that. We only talk about the mind and that it's overthinking and we're afraid of that and all of that kind of stuff. So essentially, that's what stress is. It's actually not just in the mind. It's a biological, it's a physiological, it's an emotional, and it's literally a physical reaction to these three factors, which today are all over the place.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful because, I was laughing about this the other day because I was trying to do a podcast in Hindi, okay, which itself is a laughing matter, right? You can imagine me doing it in Hindi.
I'm feeling stressed for you.
Exactly. And I was searching for a translation for the word stress in Hindi. And the translation is tanav.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
God. Yeah.
Just think about it. Tanav means the feeling of being pulled across, right?
Absolutely.
Stretched is stressed. So there is no actual word to describe the feelings that you were talking about.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
The gurgudi, the heart racing. There's no actual word that exists to describe it.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting because if we don't have the lexicon, we don't know what to do.
Absolutely. And the important thing is that the body doesn't know whether it's about survival really or not. It only knows how to go into these three: flight, fight, freeze mode.
Correct.
Right? So moment I think that I don't have information, I don't have certainty, and I have loss of control, my body automatically goes into survival mode with all of these things screaming out at me, all these body changes and things like that. Yeah. But what is the most important thing that we do when we are stressed? How do we cope with it?
Fight, freeze, run, hide, get under the blanket, pray, right? Many things.
So many things, right? Probably somebody is having a smoke, or somebody goes off to sleep, or somebody gets into a rage, or somebody gets into this feeling of eating chocolate, for example.
I finish an entire cake.
I know. You told me that last time. But why we do everything to distract, right, ourselves from this feeling of stress or this multitude of different feelings that's called stress, rather than actually sitting with the stress and actually understanding what's happening, right? And asking ourselves, and this is where self-care comes in, because self-care is just one thing, it's self-awareness. What am I feeling in my body, right? And what is underlying this feeling? What is the emotion? Most of us run away from emotion. Emotion, it's scary, right? And when we are running away from emotion, we're not allowing the body to say, hey, this is not danger. So we don't actually, our body doesn't go back to what we call that balance place. So if you ask somebody under stress, what do you want? They'll say, I want to feel peace and balance. But for that, you have to check into your body and say, what am I feeling? I am feeling emotion. Emotion is this. Because the moment you label your emotion, the emotion goes away. And that is how the body is built. That's how neuroscience understood that if you label the emotion, it instantly releases, because I realize as a body that it's not a threat. I'm not going to die the next moment. Tiger is not in the room. I'm just sad, or I'm disappointed, or I am fearful, or I am joyous, or I am, nervous, or I'm curious, or I'm even anxious.
Correct.
Yeah, but then there is no imminent danger, right? So stress kicks in when there is imminent danger.
How do we lose touch with ourselves like this? Like, we should know ourselves, right? Self-awareness is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But we should know who we are. It's like, what is the self-awareness and where do we lose it?
So self-awareness is something we're inherently born with, right?
Okay.
But we lose it somewhere along the way. And I'll explain this to you. Imagine a little baby. It's born the most self-aware, because when it needs something, it cries and says, hello, I'm hungry. Hello, I need to be lifted. Hello, need milk. Hello, need to be changed. You may not have language, right? And we think if there is no language, you don't know. The baby is most in touch with themselves because they are telling you something is up your buddy, come and look at me. Right? And then the parent comes and then cuddles and, kind of picks them up or whatever they need and stuff like that. Now, somewhere along the way, as we grow older, that same cry for I need something gets responded to as, Arey beta abhi nahi. Arey baad mein, arey 10 minutes, arey can't you see I'm busy, arey something. What does a child learn? That either I need to distract myself for the time being because mommy is not available, or I learn my emotions are not important. I should better shut them down because there's nobody there to listen to me. Or they'll say, okay, my emotions are important. I will also procrastinate. Baad mein dekh lunga. Right. And so what have we done? It's like a child putting a toy under a carpet and then tripping over it later on because he's forgotten that he's put it there. So what we learn over time is let's distract. Let's distract from what is going on and let's not actually listen to ourselves and check in with ourselves, which is self-care, which is an inherent actually born as babies to survive in the world and thrive and get our needs met. We've suddenly got lost touch with it along the way. Suddenly, I'm about distraction. I'm about, I don't want to see it. About, okay, I'll go take a shower because that's what people believe is self-care. Or I'll eat a chocolate. Or
Netflix.
Or, eating. Most important. Why do people eat?
Correct.
Right? Because when you are young, because eating gives saliva. Saliva is self-soothing. That's why children suck their thumb. Yeah. Or that's why we say, okay, if you're feeling stressed, suck a sweet before you go on stage.
Correct.
Because saliva generation is self-soothing. But those are such not external factors. They are inherently built within us to tell us, hey, hello, my body's shaking with fear, or it is sweating with fear, or it is palpitating. But I'm not asking it, hey, buddy, what's going on?
Correct.
Let me ask you, what emotion, what am I feeling? So self-care is about self-awareness. It's just about checking into yourself and saying, what am I feeling? Yeah. The moment it says fear, anger, whatever, now my body knows it's not a threat. So I've gone back already into balance, what the body calls homeostasis, the place where people feel peace and calm. It's nowhere else. It's just in that moment when I name the emotion and say there is no threat. Because in that moment, I've become present.
So whenever I talk about peace and calm on Instagram, there are a slew of messages that come saying, oh, what is this that you are talking about?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know when was the last time I was peaced and calm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So how do you even understand that getting there is an option?
So we're always actually built to be in peace and calm, which is biologically called homeostasis. Okay. That's the body's general balance when everything is euphoria, right? But as beings, if you're living in the future,
is everything euphoria or is everything neutral?
It's a sense of control. It's a sense of everything being okay. It's a sense of peace. It's a sense of balance. All your endorphins, dopamine, serotonin flowing in its natural forms and in the appropriate quantities. And that is different terms for different people. Yeah. And what I've understood is that if you ask somebody, this peace and balance, say, like, how do you achieve it? If you're living in the future, you have anxiety all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're living in the past, there is depression. Right? Fear is okay. It's a real response, but it's only limited because then the fear or the danger passes. Then it's only fear and it's limited. Anxiety is long-term thinking of the what ifs. Yeah. So if you're neither in the future nor in the past, there is neither anxiety nor there is depression, then what do you have in the present moment? It's just your peace and balance.
And if you can name what is in the present moment, then even more awareness is there.
Absolutely. Right. And when the awareness says, okay, fine, I'm sad, then it's asking, what do you need to feel better? Now, if this was a friend, right, you would ask, hey, Nyana, what do you need? Or, hey, Ashton, what do you need? And you would probably say, hey, I need a hug. Or, hey, you know what? I just want you to listen to me. Or, hey, I just need to vent, yeah. Right? And in that moment, you've taken care of yourself. But we can do it for a friend. We struggle to do it with ourselves. Right? Because somewhere we were taught that is not important. My emotions are not important. I can take care of it later. But here and now, actually, self-care is about taking care of what you feel now and give it what it needs.
Beautiful. Do you find people who have not gone through this phase as a child, or have all of us lost touch with who we are as people because of the social conditioning or the way that we've been brought up?
I would say all of us are predominantly. Besides, if you're really a practitioner of mindfulness and meditation and all of those factors, still there are moments when you're all over the place. But if there is a daily practice where you're checking in and asking yourself, okay, my body is responding in a way that doesn't feel comfortable, basic. Yeah, I'm uncomfortable. Checking in and saying, hey, what am I feeling? And therefore, what do I need? And to meet that need, right? Not with cake and chocolate and a bath or something like that, but genuinely with a hug or a call to a friend or, whatever it is that you genuinely need. Just sometimes it's 3 things for all human beings, right? It's to be seen, heard, validated, acknowledged. And that's what you're doing for the emotion, right? You're saying, I see you there. It's okay. Right. But most of us can't do it for ourselves. So my tip, right, for self-care is to imagine yourself as a plant.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, you could be any plant. You could be a cactus for all I care. You could be a rose. You could be whatever. Right. Now, if the rose was wilting, you would probably check in and say, hey, what is missing in its care or its nurturance because of which it's wilting? Right? It'll probably water or sunlight and you'll do everything in your capacity to make it, bloom again. Yeah. Now for that second, what if you were that rose and you were wilting? Would you just walk away? And that's what we're doing when we are not doing our self-care and self-awareness and checking in. Or would you nurture it? And that is a choice that, we bring the awareness to, that if I were a rose and I were wilting, what would I actually ask myself? What does this plant need to start blooming again?
Lovely.
Yeah. So
such a beautiful visual.
And you just take care of that plant, right? Because actually that's all it is.
Yeah.
So that's self-care and self compassion that we all have kind of disconnected from, and we are all actually on our journey to, in different ways, trying to find out the answer to that.
Before going ahead, we'll take a quick break. Did you know that your energy intake shouldn't just be from carbs? It should also include good fats and proteins. And this is something that the Whole Truth has taken to heart in order to provide you with a balanced breakfast option called the Perfect Breakfast. This is a range of delicious muesli that comes in 3 flavors: nuts, fruits and seeds, quinoa choco crunch, and almond choco crunch. When you eat this muesli, only 50% of your energy comes from carbs. The rest is from all natural good fats and proteins. Just visit thewholetruthfoods.com and use the coupon code HABIT on checkout to get an awesome 20% discount. And we are back. Jnana, when people hear this and they say, yeah, but the rose is wilting because of the extra environmental factors. It is because of everybody around me that I am wilting.
Yeah.
Correct? How do you take that ownership of it and say that, so what if everybody else is a mean person or this person or that person? How do I do self-care at that point of time?
Okay. So self-care for the plant or for the individual, we know that the environment is not suiting the rose. Of course we do. We're saying it's not getting enough sunlight, right? It is not getting enough water. Right. So what will I do? I'll pick it up and say, let me put it in a place of sunlight. I won't just say, hey, sun, come and change the sunlight. We can't do that. Right. And that's what we're trying to do. We're telling the environment, hey, you change, versus saying, okay, am I being the best rose I can be here? And if not, then I need to go to the place where there is sunlight. Yeah. So it's literally saying, if I were the gardener of my own rose, what would I do for it? What would I check? Okay, I'm not going to start screaming at the sun to change. I'm not going to start screaming at somebody who's not watered. I'm going to do it myself. So that's what one needs to do. Ask yourself, is this environment conducive to me? And if not, what do I need to do to take myself to a space that is conducive to the growth of my rose? Now, not everybody can leave an environment. Yeah. So grounding techniques like that can really help us being in an environment that isn't conducive, and yes, finding that space to care for ourselves where we can shut out the noise.
Lovely.
Yeah. So yeah, there are techniques for that as well that we can do.
So the first thing, you were talking about naming emotions, right? And understanding emotions. Let's deep dive a little bit into that first, before we can understand where we are currently. Yeah. So how should people learn about emotions and what they're feeling so that they can name it?
So the most important thing is emotions. We say, I think I am feeling, is what we say, right? But emotion's not a thought. It's a feeling in the body. Yeah. So the most important thing with naming the emotion is dropping into your body and connecting with yourself. So one of the easiest ways is just to close your eyes and sit with yourself and ask yourself, what is this emotion I'm feeling? Yeah. What I have also looked at, and I think you saw that as well, is sometimes you don't have the vocabulary for it. Right? Good is not an emotion. Bad is not an emotion. Fine is not an emotion. Okay is not an emotion. Rejected is not an emotion. It's a perception. Abandoned is not an emotion. It's a perception. It may give you pain and hurt, which is the emotion, but that is a perception. Yeah. So really, so there are different ways. As an emotional wheel that I tell people, keep it on your phone. We have the emotions game deck that we tell people, pick it up, because inherently your body will respond to the emotion that it is. Yeah. And if I ask you, Ashton, is what's your emotion? You say, I don't know. I'll say, is it disappointment? You'll say, no, it's more regret. So actually you already know. You're just looking for that vocabulary, right? We may be missing just the vocabulary. And the worry that if that emotion's there and I can't handle it, then what will happen? But actually the emotion's not asking you to handle it. It's just asking you to stay with it. Yeah. So first thing would be just have a vocabulary, find a emotional wheel, download it on your phone, and just sit, close your eyes and ask yourself, what is this that I am feeling?
Lovely. So I want everyone to do this right now. If you want, pause the podcast. If you want, continue with the podcast. But I want you to at least name 10 emotions that are actual emotions. Bad, good. Like Jnana said, those are not emotions. If you can name 10 emotions, clap to you, because most people can't.
Absolutely.
If you can't name 10 emotions, definitely go and download the emotions wheel. Is it called emotions wheel or feeling wheel?
It's an emotions wheel.
Emotions wheel. Go and download the emotions wheel, or check out the game that you're talking about, which can help you, because this is the first step in understanding yourself, right? There's a whole part called emotions. And if you don't understand what those emotions are, how can you name them? What is it? You can never deal with them. And then we just carry them around like lifeless people, and baggage that we're carrying around with us.
Yeah. And
at this point in time, I want to give an example of something that happened. A few days ago, there was a very close friend of mine who I found out was lying to me, right? So, and it was a big, big, big lie. Like, I was like, oh my God. And I was feeling this thing, and another friend of mine said that, how are you doing? Are you okay? And I could say I'm feeling betrayed. Okay, right? I could say that this was the feeling that I was having. It could is betrayal is a feeling?
It's actually a perception.
I was wondering about that. But feeling betrayed and feeling hurt after that.
That's the
feeling. So I could then go down that journey and saying, acha, this is why I'm feeling it. Yeah. And once I could name it, it didn't bother me. And all this happened at night. So I didn't have a sleepless night. I didn't go through all those things that we would have typically gone through.
Yeah.
But it's important to realize that once you know how to name a feeling, you can pass by fast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because your body is telling you it's all okay. Right? It's the worry that we don't know what to do with it because we don't know what we're feeling.
Correct.
Right? And that actually brings back certainty, control, and knowledge back into your life. The very things that we are afraid that we are losing, even in this current scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that brings back the peace, the balance, the connection to the self, and learning to take care of yourself. It's suddenly I'm not dependent on whether somebody responded to me or not. I am empowered to take care of myself, and also know that therefore I can reach out to somebody else and say, hey, need to talk to you. Right?
Correct.
And that's it. It's
Absolutely.
as broken down into a simple 2-step program.
So how should people right now start getting in touch with themselves?
So like I said, I think one of the first things I really ask people to do is to ground themselves.
Explain.
So basically, to close their eyes and just gently bring their awareness to their breathing. Because in that moment, you're neither in the future nor are you in the past. So neither are you anxious nor are you depressed, right? So when you're in the present, you can actually connect with yourself. And then once you bring your awareness to your breathing, you just allow yourself to feel everything that you're feeling in your body, all the sensations. And you just ask yourself, hey, I can sense that there's something going on. If I had to name this feeling, what would I call it? Right? And the vocabulary is, like I said, is something that we develop with time. But it's just allowing your connected being to kind of turn around and say, hey, this is what I'm feeling. Right? And then once you open your eyes, you'll actually almost realize like, oh, that's all I was feeling. That I can deal with. And the next step would be to say, okay, if I am feeling this way, what do I need? Yeah. And to talk to yourself like you would talk to that plant, or that you would talk to your closest friend. Right? Not saying, because most of us, when we go into this feeling of, say, even sadness or fear, we start badgering ourselves for it because of the society thing of, baad mein, abhi nahi, achhe bacche nahi karte, oh, you're a strong boy, strong boys don't feel this way, or, you're a good kid, you don't feel these things, and you're asked to shut off. Then that thing will start naturally coming back, right? And therefore, we may not be able to do it for ourselves. But the most important thing is, again, to put ourselves in a position, say, what if I was saying this to my friend? Would I tell my friend, Arey, stop feeling the emotion? What is wrong with you? You're not allowed to feel the emotion, right? So to connect yourself and say, hey, if this was my best friend who was feeling sad or nervous or anxious, what would I say to them? Right? And then to address and say, hey, you need a hug? Come, let me give you a hug. You won't say, hey, who wants a hug? Are you crazy? Hug baad mein le le. You're not going to say that, right? So just allow yourself to give yourself what you need. And when that need is met, the entire craving and the entire fear of our needs not being met or not being in control or uncertainty ceases to exist.
Lovely.
But it's not a one-time thing. It's something we'll have to do as a practice,
as a habit,
process, as a habit. There you go.
Because it genuinely is a daily habit till it becomes subconscious.
Absolutely.
Right? Like I'll give you another example of naming emotions and how it helps. So a couple of years ago, we were walking through this Great Lakes trek in Kashmir, right? And we were climbing through this pass. And passes are these high points in a trek where, the temperature suddenly drops to minus something and all of that. And we were going through it and suddenly it starts pouring. So now we are in the wrong clothes on this mountain with sub-degrees temperature, and it's raining and snowing and it's just miserable, and we all thought we were going to die. Okay, it was one of those situations that like no hope. There's so much. We're walking through the clouds. We can't even see like a few steps ahead. Where is this going to end? And and everyone was in this panic state. And this is the time when you've lost control. You've lost information. All those things are there. But if you can be aware of this point of time in the moment, saying, this is how I'm feeling. Oh, fingers going numb. What does that mean? Okay, do I need to move them? Can wriggle my toes? Okay, next step. It wasn't, if you can learn and practice not thinking about what will happen 20 minutes from now, will I fall down, collapse? Is there any place that will have a fire, whatever? And just be in this moment, you realize that these things can pass through. And you can survive these moments. Just because you were in that state of present and aware of what it was that you were feeling, whether it was cold temperature or whether it was panic in the mind. Yes,
absolutely. I think that by design for survival, we go into worst case scenario. Yeah.
Correct.
And then we lose control because now we can't deal with that worst case scenario. But that worst case scenario hasn't even come yet. Can it come? Of course it can. But is it come yet? No. So you can't do something that's way off in the future anyway. right? So it's a loss of control anyway. There's uncertainty anyway, right? But the most important thing is to, like you rightly said, self-awareness. Right? What is in my body right now? Is it feeling cold? How can I keep it warm? Is it numbing up? How can I keep it warm? Doesn't my fingers, need to be put inside the jacket to stay warm? Okay, that I can do. Right? And not essentially kind of going into absolute flight, fight, freeze mode. Then you can't do anything. Right? Because anyway, your rational brain shuts down. So so it's just about, the myth of self-care being this grand, going to a spa and going to, all of these, long showers and, body massages. I don't know, things that people say, oh, I don't have time for. Right. But actually, it's only a simple thing of, getting in touch with your breathing and asking yourself what it is that your body is feeling, and how can you take care of it.
What is it that I need at this point of time? Perfect.
Absolutely.
Lovely. And I think this is going to help so many of us because we're going through so many confusing emotions right now. Right? We're going through strange emotions like guilt. We're going through strange emotions like uncertainty.
Right.
The first time the whole concept of death has become a part of our life, because till now we weren't necessarily exposed to death in the way that it is right now. In fact, the next podcast we'll talk about this a little bit more and understanding grief in that context. But there are so many emotions that we're going through, and if we don't understand what those emotions mean or what is this particular feeling, we're sunk. So getting into the point of understanding this, I think it's a fantastic step in sharing this and understanding what self-care means. Not the foot massage, like you said, not the body massage, not treating yourself to a chocolate cake, although I wish it was that. But it is understanding these emotions and what it is that we need at that point of time. I need a chocolate cake, Nyana.
You can have a chocolate cake as long as it's not trying to fight off or distract you from any emotion you're not willing to feel.
Damn it. Stole all the fun from my chocolate cake.
Sugar is great, but sugar in the long term is not great.
All good things.
Aren't you the
in
one
life,
who does 30 days non-sugar challenges that you put us through? 100 days. Oh my God. Yeah. See?
Yeah.
Then all the emotions will
all
come.
The good things in life are immoral, illegal, or unhealthy. Right?
Isn't that true?
A friend of mine once told me this. I was like, oh yeah.
That is so true.
Rania, thank you so much for this. How can people get in touch with you and follow what you're doing and reach out to you?
So we have our Instagram handle at Safe Space India. Reach out to us through DM. There's a whole bunch of support. There is a lot of tools there. We can catch up for a chat or, just help you with the games that you need or just a whole bunch of fun stuff that's there. But it's on Instagram at Safe Space India.
Safe Space India. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashton, and happy self-care.
Yay.
So start these habits and share with us your progress using the hashtag #TheHabitCoach. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashtin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com, or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME180. That's Awesome180.
I hope you enjoyed that show. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'd like to thank the sponsors on the network this week, Cred, thewholetruthfoods.com, and Siet Tires. We really do appreciate the support. So the last year's been tough for all of us, and the second wave of COVID really hit us badly. To help those affected by the pandemic in India, the podcasting community has come together under the Pod for Change banner to raise funds through an exclusive NGO partner, Give India. Join IVM and Pod for Change as we look to make a positive impact in the life of those affected by COVID-19. You can go to tinyurl.com/podforchangeindia, and remember, somebody could really use the help. And now back to the promo. On the Simplified podcast, the gang explains the oxygen crisis happening in the country and tells us the various measures being taken to tackle it. On States of Anarchy, Hamsani Hariharan talks about how the geopolitical relationships shaped COVID response and the world order. As Indians, we're all familiar with acid reflux or heartburn given the spicy food we consume. On The Habit Coach, Ashton has some simple solutions to counter that. Osama Moria explores the iconic neighborhood of Dadar and tells us its connection to outer space in Postcards from Nowhere. It was Dangal time on The Fighting Goat as hosts Somesh and Arjun were joined by unbeaten MMA fighter and Commonwealth gold medalist Ritu Fogart. The traveling professor Siddharth Deshmukh shares examples of various innovations that came up during the COVID times and helped us deal with the situation. And with that, we hope to see you again next week.
Do you know Tamil? Tamil puriyuma? Do your children enjoy great stories that inculcate good values? Hi, I am Ravishankar Balachandran and I host the Storytime Tamil podcast. I am excited to share a short story with great moral values every day. Listen to Storytime Tamil on the IVM podcast app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts from.